And at this point, I would like to invite Miss Regina Martin up to the podium and for her to tell us more about Rotary. And as she's making this way, I'm going to say I'm very proud to say that the Chamber is a corporate member of Rotary, a great organization. They do wonderful things for our community and they work very hard. Please consider joining, if not as an individual, as a corporate. So,
thank you. The Rotary Club of Jasper is very happy this morning to be here today and both to present the month's program and also to sponsor the breakfast. So thank you very much. But our program today is going to be centering on an exciting new music park for Pickens County. But before we get there, I want to tell you a little bit about Rotary. Rotary is an international, worldwide membership organization with over 1.2 million people. It's not just our little community here, it's 1.2 million people all over the world. And speaking of members, I want to ask all of our Rotarians here in Pickens County this morning, and members of our club, would you please stand? Look at them carefully. If you have any questions after this, please ask one of them. We are pleased to talk about Rotary. Thank you. Our elevator speech description of our organization and what Rotary is one that I like. And we describe it as Rotary is an organization of community leaders, business owners, and professionals who meet for fellowship, who are willing to exchange ideas and act on them to make something happen. And that's what we attempt to do. And that's not all encompassing, but it's a pretty good thumbnail sketch. We joined Rotary and we stayed in it for a variety of reasons. Now, during the presentation today, we will share some thoughts from our members.
Well, the reason why I joined Rotary and what Rotary means to me, granted, we do want to keep up with the state and national and world events, but in my position that I'm in, that my main goal was to be able to focus on my local citizens here in the county, because there's areas of the county that I don't get to talk to all the time for what reason or another, and I have the ability once a week to talk to individuals in certain areas of the county, whether you're on the east end or the west end or down here at the city, that I can actually see these people on every week to see what's going on and to keep up, and if they've got any issues, to come and see me. And it has been very useful to that notice. So maybe I see Rotary a little different, but mainly I use that for the local entity and the local governments and how we run and try to work with our constituents.
I want to introduce you to two of our major local projects. In 1998, that was 20 years ago, the Hope House opened its doors and since then has served hundreds of children in their time of greatest need. Sometimes these children are taken out of their homes in the middle of the night and they have to go someplace. So Hope House became a haven for these children. Rotary spearheaded this project and it supports that project today. But it is really a true community project in that you help us to make it happen year after year. So thank you for that. The president of the Hope House, Max Keller, and its treasurer could not be with us today, but those two gentlemen have served very faithfully on the board now for a number of years. And then the second project is when Jeff Downing, the owner and operator of the IGA store in Marble Hill, was the president of the club in 2008-2009, he brought the first foundation for childhood literacy to Pickens County. Sue Appleton is the current and longtime chair of the Pickens County Community Action Team. And those folks just celebrated giving the 100,000th book, can you believe that, to children in Pickens County. And that's from birth through, is it 5 years old? Every month these children get a book, 100,000th book. And neither Jeff nor Sue are here today, but I want to emphasize these two people have made a difference in the community. And again, this is another very true community project because your contributions of time and talent have made this thing possible. Rotary also participates in fundraising events in our community to help organizations raise money. You might have seen us at Jeep Fest this past fall, and you might have seen us during the Christmas season ringing the bell in front of the Walmart with the Salvation Army. But we also raise funds for our own projects. Several years ago, Rotary joined with the Georgia Mountain Hospice and the Knights of Columbus to help grow Mardi Gras in the mountains. And made it into a big event like that. And we're going to ask Gina Pendley to come up, and because this year's event is fast approaching. And I want her to come and tell you a little bit about this particular event. So Gina?
Good morning. I know the burning question was, well, how do they fund the Hope House? How do they do first? Well, I'm going to tell you. The Mardi Gras in the Mountains is one event. We've been doing the Mardi Gras in the Mountains for about 13 years. We do it in this room. We double the size of this room. There's about 450 people attend. Banks and Shane is the band. We have Madeline's that does the catering here. And it's a good time. We have a silent auction. We also raise money. One of the ways we raise money is our King and Queen nominee. And people are beating down my door every year to be the King and Queen nominees for these counties. You laugh. No, I actually have, I don't see him, I didn't see him. We actually have a reigning king here today, Mr. Lonnie Waters. Would you stand up, please, Lonnie? And he did not bring his crown. But Ronnie helped raise a lot of money. Lonnie helped raise a lot of money for this event. What people do is they vote. $1 is one vote. I've put on your tables, besides the invitations for the Mardi Gras that you can complete and send back to me. So there's plenty for everybody to take one. We also have a flyer on there with our King and Queen nominees for this year. Dr. Carlton Wilson, I know many of you know Dr. Wilson. He could not be here today, he's out of town. But we do have our Queen nominee. I must say, the much better half of Sonny Proctor is Karen Proctor. He will agree. Karen, will you stand up? Karen has agreed to be our Queen nominee. She will be going around knocking on your doors, or I will, trying to get money for her. We want Pickens County to win again this year. So if you'll take this flyer as well, it gives you the information on there about how you can vote. You can call me, you can pay online, we'll figure it out. I'll come get your money. I just want you to attend the Mardi Gras and vote for our King and Queens. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Becky Denny. I'm currently serving on the Pickens County Board of Commissioners, and I would like to say a few words about Rotary. When Steve and Kay Lawrence invited me to a Rotary meeting, I was happy to go and enjoyed it very much and felt like it was a perfect fit for me. I have always admired and liked the Rotary motto, service above self, and I found that I really enjoy the fellowship of other Rotarians, and it is amazing to watch how they live out the motto and do so many worthwhile service products in the community. They are constantly striving to make Pickens County a wonderful place to live, work, and play. I have had the opportunity to participate in many worthwhile projects. One of my favorites this past Christmas, I had the opportunity to ring the bell for the Salvation Army at Christmas time. It was so much fun and so rewarding. Why don't you all consider joining Rotary, and you might get to ring the bell yourselves next year. Thank you.
Well, at this time, I want to introduce you to our past club president, our current assistant governor, and our District 6910's governor for 2019-2020. And oh yeah, he's my husband, Don Martin.
Thank you, Regina. The joke around the household is that Regina joined Rotary out of self-defense. But once she did, she's really excelled at it. She finished the Rotary Leadership Institute quicker than I did. She became the club president quicker than I did. I'll be the first to admit she's probably doing a better job at being club president than I did. So someday my Rotary career will probably be a footnote in hers. So thank you for this opportunity. What Regina asked me to do is just give you a really brief thumbnail sketch of how Rotary works here in Jasper and how Rotary works around the world. So there's information on the screen and I'm going to talk. You can look wherever you want. Today, you already heard about 3 signature events that Rotary works on in the community. But the thing you need to realize is it's just like in a diamond or a gemstone, it's not the big picture. It's not Rotary International that's the most important. It's the small cuts. It's the small structure of the diamond that makes it brilliant. And so it's the 1.2 million Rotarians that really make Rotary important. By yourself, you may not be able to accomplish the things you want, but as part of 1.2 million, there's probably not a limit to what you can do. So on your tables, you've got a couple of brochures. You've got a lot of paper on your tables, but you've got a couple of brochures about the Rotary Club of Jasper. One talks about the club itself, and the other talks about service projects. I hope you'll take those home with you, and I hope you'll review them when you've got a chance, and then come join us for lunch someday. So now, how did Rotary start? Well, Paul Harris was a businessman in Chicago, and he wanted to do business with people that he knew. So he got together with 3 friends, and they formed a network, a very simple network. And yes, they met by rotating, where they met each month at each other's business. So that's where the name comes from. That's where Rotary started. But it's common sense when you think about it. It's easier to do business with people that you know, that you like, and maybe you have some understanding of how their business works because they've explained it to you. And that's part of the networking and the fellowship that's Rotary. The concept worked. Within 16 years, there were clubs on 6 continents, and today there are over 35,000 clubs. So one of the things that Paul said is he wasn't sure how people would deal with Rotary, but he knew they would recognize it by what it accomplished. And in short, it's accomplished a lot. We don't have time to go into all of today, but just one story that I like. At the end of World War II, when the world was trying to figure out how to solve international problems without going to war every time, they formed the United Nations. When they formed the United Nations, you had the superpowers, and you had all the countries that wanted to participate at that time sit down. They invited 2 non-governmental agencies to that party. One was the International Red Cross, and the other was Rotary International. That's the kind of impact that Rotary's had through the years. So what started out as a networking and a fellowship service was clearly an important part. And the screen that's going to come up next is about End Polio Now. And End Polio Now has been the dominant theme for Rotary service since 1985. The foundation that Rotary formed actually helps fund that project and many other projects around the world. It was started here in Atlanta in 1917 with a huge gift of $26.50 by Arch Klump, who was the president of the International Rotary that year. That foundation, Rotarians through that foundation have donated over $3 billion to causes around the world, and the foundation itself is now worth over $1 billion. The organization that rates foundations, Charity Navigator, rates the Rotary Foundation with 4 stars and 100%. And you can go online and look. There aren't very many in that category. They started out, their very first grant was to what's called the Crippled Children's Society. That became Easter Seals and then the March of Dimes. So they started out in the field leading to polio early on. In 1980, Dr. Sabin of polio fame was the guest speaker at the International Convention, and he kind of stirred things up. By 1985, while polio was almost non-existent in the United States, there were still 387,000 cases of polio worldwide. And Rotary stepped up to say, we're going to solve this problem. It was 3 years before the World Health Organization saw how much progress they were making and decided to sign on. And then just a few years ago, the Gates Foundation, with what seemed to be unlimited pockets, signed on. And so from 387,000 cases in 1985 to just 17 cases in the world last year. 2018 could be the first year where there are no cases of polio with the live polio virus. When that happens, we're still going to need 3 more years. But we're right on the verge. For years we've been saying we're this close, and now the theme is take it to 0, because we're actually going to take it to 0. The people that are on the screen are almost your neighbors. The lady on the left is Kim Waters. She's the past district governor, 6910. The gentleman is David Stovall. He's a past district governor and a Rotary International Director-elect. There's only 17 of those in the world. And they were in India when they had that picture taken last year at the National Immunization Day. And they live over in Hall County. But while polio has been the major emphasis for Rotary for the last several years, it's not the only one. We have 6 areas of focus, and everything that we do tries to tie into those 6 areas of focus, both here in Jasper and around the world. I wanted to pick one project besides the one you've already heard about to just mention, and I chose the Rotary Peace Park. There are thousands of Rotary Peace Poles scattered throughout the world. There are just a few hundred Rotary Peace Parks throughout the world. So far as we know, this is the only one made of marble, and we know for certain it's the only one made of Georgia marble. It's a beautiful park, and we hope that it's in Roper Park across from Jasper Middle School. We hope that you'll go by and take a look at it sometime. The reason I chose it is because it's a perfect jumping off point for what we really want to talk about today, and that's the Rotary Music Park, because this park is located immediately adjacent to the land that will become the Rotary Music Park. So I want to introduce now the immediate past president of the Rotary Club of Jasper, Kay Lawrence. In 2017, several of us from the club attended the International Convention, and Kay and Regina immediately saw the value of this project, and Regina, as president of the club, convinced Kay that she needed to be the chair, and Kay has taken that on, like she always does, with great excitement, and you're going to be excited to hear what she's got to tell you. Kay?
We all get so excited when something new comes to Pickens County. A new restaurant, a business, whatever. Well, a children's music park is being built by the Rotary Club of Jasper, and this is definitely something new and exciting for us. The park will have large-scale, outdoor, durable musical instruments. With this park, handicapped children will have a place to play. We will be the only park in this county and surrounding counties with a park for all children. Not only are we excited about providing handicap access, but these musical instruments become destinations for all families to bring their children to play. The locations are even uploaded and rated on TripAdvisor. This park will help our tourism initiative too. I can't wait to bring my grandchildren to this park. It will be an experience like no other for them. The park is behind the Boys and Girls Club, next to where we installed our 10.5-foot marble peace pole last May. We will have at least 3 instruments installed this spring. The instruments pledged so far are being sponsored by Steve Morano's Allstate, Renaissance Bank, Don and Regina Martin. Sponsorship information is on your tables. Please join us in making a difference in the lives of all children in Pickens County. To tell us more about the power these instruments have to unlock creative, expressive play through music and to demonstrate their sound, we have a special guest with us today. Dustin Graham is our Territory Manager for Great Southern Recreation. Join me in welcoming Dustin.
Good morning. I would like to say go dogs, and I just want to tell you I love that bow tie, Carl. I wish I could wear that bow tie this morning, but I can't. You will? Okay. So my name is Dustin Graham. I'm with Great Southern Recreation, and we are a design build firm headquartered in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. We specialize in designing outdoor play spaces, recreation spaces, everything from playgrounds to splash pads to outdoor classrooms, pavilions, you name it. If a city, municipality, school has it outside and it's available to the public, we can design it, help you procure it, and install it. Kay reached out to me after seeing some Free Notes information, and we are a dealer for Free Notes, and this is how I came to be with you all this morning. So I want to tell you all a little bit about what the company Free Notes is about, the instruments, do some demonstrations, let you kind of hear what the instruments sound like, and hopefully get you on board with this really important project for Jasper. Why is music important? That's exactly right. That's very good. Music is the universal language. Music allows people to communicate with each other regardless of context. Music crosses culture gaps and language gaps. Can you imagine the happy birthday song or the first song that you danced to at your wedding? What feelings come about? Can you remember the smells? Can you remember the taste, the atmosphere? It actually can help bring you back to a specific time in your life. Music can conjure up these memories and experiences throughout your life, and music actually has the ability to help store these memories and transport you back from present day to maybe when you were 10 years old, when you're 20 years old. But Free Notes started off as a company founded by a Grammy winner, Richard Cook. He was a singer-musician in the genre New Age. Has anyone heard of New Age music? If you've ever been to a spa, that's that soothing, very calming music that you hear. And that type of music does put you into a calmer place. In the 80s, he started off doing these musical retreats outdoors to help inspire his fellow musicians. And throughout those retreats, he said, you know what, there's something to play music outside. And he decided to work on the design of these instruments for permanent installations. And in 1990, he started rolling out the first Free Note instruments. These are all manufactured in the USA in Durango, Colorado. If you can see in that picture, they come in various shapes and sizes. What's very important is that they're all 100% accessible, meaning any age, any ability can access these instruments and participate and use them easily. They have currently 21 instruments available, and they are rolling out new instruments every year. That leads me to their acquisition by Playcore Holdings Incorporated. Playcore is a powerful force in the recreation industry, and they acquired Free Notes in 2016, and they've joined a portfolio of over 20 recreation brands that are being distributed throughout the country and installed in parks all around. Because of the partnership with Playcore, Free Notes now has the financial support to research and develop new equipment and add research studies to these outdoor musical projects. So the instruments themselves, they are made of very durable, highly impact-resistant materials, recycled plastics for the uprights, steel posts, aluminums, composite plastics, and basically these instruments are made to last. They're designed so that there are no musical mistakes. If anyone here has read music or studied music, you know that there can be some mistakes, and a mistake sounds off. But these are designed with the pentatonic scale, the black keys on a piano. You can just riff on the black keys on a piano and it's going to sound good. These instruments are set up that same way. So what that means is you can approach these instruments without any musical background or any music theory training and go out there and feel that sensation of you are creating a beautiful piece of music. You have mastered this instrument. That mastery, that feeling of accomplishment is very important for growing young minds. Excuse me. All the instruments that you're going to see throughout this presentation and that Free Notes has are percussion-based instruments. These instruments are designed so that children can use them easily because the grasp is the first skill that a young child masters. Then they learn to throw their arms around, right? So they can use this basic skill and turn it into a creative skill. And thinking more creative at a younger age helps with the just learning development and the critical thinking skills necessary later in life. These inclusive mallets that we see, when I say inclusive, I'm talking about the ability to transcend physical abilities. So even with children or adults that may have grip issues or mobility issues in their fingers, they can still at least put these mallets on their hands, wear them almost like gloves, and they can still use the lever action of their arms to make some good fun music and play with their able-bodied siblings or friends. So here are just a few arrangements of the instruments. The pagoda bells on the left, the manta ray in the middle, these tuned drums at the bottom middle, and then a squirrel on the right. Those are the different names, but the instruments come in many different shapes, colors, sizes. Some are very aesthetically pleasing, so they fit in very nicely with a landscape or a landscape architect's goal of creating a beautiful, cohesive space. But these are the instruments, and I'm going to take this show on the road. The percussion instruments by Free Notes are made of simple materials. You got stainless steel, aluminum, composite plastics, depending on the actual instrument itself. Most of the instruments come in two varieties, a resonated. That's nice. So I'll find our center. Breathe deeply with me through the nose. But these are nice, soothing tones. You also have non-resonated tones. This is a marimba, this is a xylophone, but a little more quick, staccato style sound, but I just made that. That's Ode to Jasper. That's what I call that, Ode to Jasper. But these are very, very simple to play with, and you don't need to know music or even look. You can talk with your friends, look at your friends, and be like, what are you going to do next? Miss Gina? Come on, Miss Gina. All right, okay. All right, ready? You go for it. That was good, Miss Gina. Give it up for Miss Gina. But that's the beauty of these instruments, is that they're very simple. They try to make it simple so everybody can get involved, everybody can play. And that's what's important about these types of spaces in communities, is that they really do bring people together. And that's the whole purpose of outdoor recreation, my industry in general, is that we want to bring community members, different community members of different wealth classes or educational backgrounds or whatever cultural backgrounds. You can get people together. They might not even speak the same language, but if you got 5 people around some instruments, their kids are playing, the adults get involved. Now you got a couple different families that didn't know each other before, and they get to play together. And that's what we want. Here's someone that has a little bit more musical experience than me and Miss Gina. You did great though, by the way. This is Richard Cook, who I talked about earlier, playing on one of the instruments. Talking about these instruments, more of the nitty-gritty stuff, these are, like I said, are very durable instruments, very durable pieces of equipment. The manufacturing of these types of products are very similar to what you might find in the commercial playground industry. So you think of playground equipment, it gets beat up. These can take a beating and they're made to be hit, so they're going to last a long time. These actual materials have been tested in freezing cold climates, below 15 degrees and 6 feet of snow in Colorado, where snow just piles up, and Park and Rec departments, they say, we're not going to shovel any snow in the park. And it'll bury it, and it'll sit there, and it'll freeze, and it'll get encased in snow, and then it'll melt, and then in the summer it's ready to play again. And then in the summertime, I'm going to talk a little bit more about a park in Moab, Utah. There, it can get over 100 degrees, 120 degrees in the summertime, and it can be out in full sun. But these materials, they can be coated in automotive paint. These are cosmetic paints only, so they won't be on any of the actual notes themselves that you strike, but the actual uprights, some of the casings, they'll be coated in automotive grade paint. So it's going to reduce chipping and any kind of wear and tear from that way. But these parks, these can last for over 10 years if you take care of them. I'm going to talk to you about Moab Park just on this next slide. They've been there for over 20 years. So this was one of the first installations in the country for free notes. And they started off in 1995 with the first instrument. They've added over 20 instruments to date. Ms. Kay did mention TripAdvisor. I didn't tell her about that. But you get tons of 4 or 5-star reviews for this Rotary Park in Moab. And you'll see a lot of different reviews. Some say, we love the playground, they had a nice pavilion, but almost every single one of these reviews mentions the music park. And people go to this place and they see this very unique space and they absolutely go nuts for it. So bring the cranky kids here. That's an actual quote from TripAdvisor. And you'll see a little picture here. That's what it looks like today. That's only about 9 or 10 of the instruments. So they've got 20 more instruments spread throughout this park. And it really changes the feel and the space of this park. So you got all these kids coming off their RVs, they're traveling with their family across the country, and they run straight to these weird looking things. What are these things, you know? There are no instructions on these musical pieces of equipment. Every single one of them is designed in such a way that it does inspire a curious mind. And when these kids get to explore these spaces and learn that this is a musical instrument, now I'm going to learn how to play music, even if they've never taken a music class. These little kids are going to start realizing what their hands can do and the types of sounds that they can make in these situations. Talk a little bit about the benefits of music. And musical gardens, you know, we say that they improve physical well-being, mental well-being, helps nurture self-confidence through that exploration phase of using the equipment, and can improve physical dexterity and concentration. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, but music inspires these human feelings that can bridge gaps, like I said before, but they can also reconnect us. And if you have, you know, Netflix or Amazon Prime, I encourage you all to watch the documentary Alive Inside. And if you haven't heard of it or haven't seen it, I recommend you write it down and check it out. Get some tissues, because it's you're gonna touch a part of you that it's so beautiful to see these elderly people with dementia hear some songs that they remember from when they were 19 or 20, and they go from completely unresponsive to they're answering questions and telling stories about it, how they heard this song at the sock hop with, you know, their girlfriend. It's incredible what music can do. And specifically when it comes to children with special needs, which is the focus of the Rotary Club and other service above self organizations. We know that children with special needs, some that are physical, so they use wheelchairs to access this equipment, but some disabilities that you can't see. They're sensory disabilities, and these are like autism and Asperger's, and these kids, they don't process senses the way that we do. Their sympathetic nervous systems are often overstimulated by something very common to you and I. You know, a sound, the fluorescent lights might set them off, or the texture of their shirt. But with these free notes, they provide a joyful sound, a soothing sound. And what you find is that after these children learn and play before and after these pieces of equipment, their minds are open to learning after that. They're in a calmer state of mind. So these instruments do help foster a sense of just self for these children that might not be able to express themselves with words the way we do. So it's a great tool for children and parents of children who have these types of sensory disabilities. I'm going to talk a little bit about a case study in Jackson Square Park by the Minneapolis City of Lakes Rotary Club. And they wanted to make a donation of musical equipment in an inner city section of Jackson Square. And the Parks and Rec Board, they showed some concern because this was an area that had a lot of high vandalism and theft. And they were concerned that we're going to spend this money and these private dollars to lose my voice. I was screaming too much at your team last night, Carl. They were scared these instruments were going to get tore up. But the Rotary Park believed in the power of music, and they believed, well, we're going to give these instruments to this community, and we believe that they're going to take care of them. So they moved forward in 2010. They purchased 7 instruments. They installed them, and what they found out was that the free notes actually provided more positive sense of community. This community took ownership of those instruments. Specifically, those kids took ownership of those instruments. When the parents saw that those kids loved these instruments and loved the gathering, and they were singing songs together, making music together, the parents and the community members, they began to protect this space. And today, there hasn't been any vandalism or theft on those pieces of equipment. That Rotary Club actually won a significant achievement award in 2011, and out of 33,000 nominations, they were one of the 143 winners. So if you were to pull off a beautiful park, and I've seen the site plan, you should all check out the site plan on the table there. You guys could have an award-winning park too. These types of projects go a long way for communities, and you seem like you have a really cool handle on the idea. So, in closing, I just want to say thank you for having me. I've enjoyed working with Kay and y'all's Rotary Club. I do ask that you all consider to sponsor a piece of musical equipment, sponsor the Rotary Club, join the Rotary Club, and help make this park a possibility. You can really change the future for these kids that are growing up on iPhones today. And this is going to give your community something that's real and something that will last throughout our generation and hopefully to the next generation. So thank you for your time. If you have any questions about the instruments or any other projects I can help you out with, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions, and I'll be up here. So thank you very much.